for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Hey guys, it's Mo. It's early in the morning, and after consultation with the logical partner in, this marriage, he reminded me that I have a lot of energy in the morning and not so much in the afternoon. So trying to leave a bit earlier and maybe not doing Mornings with Mo live would be the best idea. And since, he's kind of my Jiminy Cricket of logic and sense most of the time, because Chaos Demon with a type A personality, which really, really doesn't work. It's always fun to have ADHD and type A because you always feel terrible about yourself when you're not doing what you're supposed to, but you don't feel terrible enough to stop making a puppet out of clay. Anywho, personal issues. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. As always, let's get into the news. We do have some heartbreaking updates. The story about the 3 little girls just broke me, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that video was maybe not the best, but definitely I was in a rage about it. That being said, let's hop into the news. Well, the crazy plane lady has a new career. I mean, hopefully she'll do better with the power than Hawk Tuah girl. Otherwise, we're all in trouble. The crazy plane lady is now safe for work lady. Tiffany Gronas, who notoriously took flight after she had a caught on camera meltdown on a plane in 2023, is getting a new career off the ground. The 40-year-old marketing executive and entrepreneurial trailblazer. Look, I could say that too, but I just say I have a semi-profitable hobby. More of a tax write-off at this point, but I'm hoping to make it an actual business with actual profits. It's a concept. That being said, I understand how blessed I am that I'm able to do this, so don't discount my sort of semi-profitable hobby comments as, oh, well, any hoozle. So she is the one who said that MFer is not real, that rant talking about lizard people on American Airlines 2 years ago, is now going to be a content creator for passes, TMZ reported. She had been rumored to have joined OnlyFans, which features adult contents, but passes forbids explicit material, according to the outlet. She promises unfiltered, unexpected, and unapologetic material from her life. Well, so do I, but I'm not willing to call people lizards, and I don't really trust airplanes at this point. Not to mention, I am too married to show that much boobie. However, if it works for her, it works for her. No judgment. I'm just saying, for me, I'd feel like all the tatas would be kind of, how you see, I'd have a boob muffin top. I'm not a fan of the look for me. That being said, if you have a wonderful pair of honkers, go ahead and use them. No judgment. So there you go. Now, she will share behind-the-scene looks of her chaos work, workouts, puppies, sports shoes, and fits. Like clothes fits or fitness. Look, I'm so out of the loop and uncool, I don't even care anymore. This is the gift that life has given me in, my current age. Is, yeah, maybe I'm not cool. Maybe I'm not, with it. But I have lost the ability to give any damns. I don't know about y'all, but I'm like, I'm okay with who I am. I mean, a little goofy, little theater kitty, little sarcastic, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to blast the police, message in a bottle and sing along in Walmart like no one cares. Although you might get a Baker acted. I'm surprised I haven't been several times, but that is another story. So she encourages potential clients to direct message her since that's where all the magic happens, before cheekily ending with a nod to her now infamous tirade. Thanks for flying with me, she wrote with a lips emoji. Now it will cost you $9.99 to fly with Gomas, the cheapest of several tiers she has on the site, which will allow you to access her wall and earn discounts on her merchandise. Maybe I need to start calling people lizards and just having my boobs just all floppy out. To be fair, hers probably haven't been through 6 kids. That's why the reverse hostage tactic of you don't want to see what gravity does to boobs. Send me $20 and you'll never know. Again, I feel like I have a marketing concept, but no one has, caught up with me in Noli fans. Like, we don't want to see it, we don't want you to show it, but we will pay you to keep it under wraps. Noli fans, it's a concept. So she has remained in the spotlight since her infamous lizard people outburst, appearing on podcasts, YouTube shows, and giving tours of her sleek Texas home. In the months after the incident, she dispelled rumors that it was an episode prompted by something supernatural or otherworldly. I literally did not see anything. It was an expression of speech, she said on a podcast. The real reason was too cringe to initially admit. The real reason I haven't come out is so cringe. She got into a little bit of an altercation with another passenger and it spiraled out of control. It was not my best moment. It was actually a horrible moment, absolutely mortifying. How horribly mortifying, she added. Now authorities issued her with a warrant for criminal trespass for the incident on the plane, but she was not charged with arrest. Well, now she gets to, again, ma'am, with great power, great racks, and comes great responsibility. Don't go the hawk to a girl. I don't want to hear you hawking, cryptocurrency because I don't... Look, I understand about as much of cryptocurrency as I understand about the infotainment system in a Lexus, which is surprisingly, I understand more from this trial, but I have blacked it out because the brain protects itself and I don't like this. I hate everything about the infotainment system. In a sad update, and again, I hope this father is found allegedly in Minecraft. If, extreme measures to bring him in have to happen. Let me look again. I'm simply full out of dams to give. I know that's a terrible thing to say, but not really. The cause of death was revealed for these 3 precious, beautiful baby girls, these smiling little angels who I hope we get to know more about. I don't want to hear about their dad. I don't really give 2 craps in a handbasket, but these beautiful little girls, I want their names. I want their stories. I want their lives to mean something. And they did. Y'all, like I said, I know why this story hits me. I have 3 little girls. They were kind of little stair steps too. And I just see my babies up there. And to take the life of your baby is so just beyond imaginable. You brought them into this world. You held them as a little child. And to want to take that away, I just will never understand that. 3 young sisters allegedly taken from this earth by their homeless father in Washington likely passed away from asphyxiation. The Decker sisters, Peyton, Evelyn, Olivia, their causes of death were revealed in a preliminary report filed with the Cheyenne County Superior Court, according to Fox 13. Now, the girls' bodies were found about 5 p.m. Monday, close to their father's white 2017 GMC Sierra truck near Rock Island Campground in Wenatchee. Look, Wenatchee maybe? Look, I am very sorry, Washington and Native Americans or First Nations. Hell, I don't even know what the hell we're supposed to call people anymore. Could we stop the rule book? but it is about 3 hours outside of Seattle. Now, Amber Alerts were canceled late Monday before the police unfortunately confirmed that the girls were no longer with us on Tuesday morning. Law enforcement continues to hunt for their father and suspected unaliver, Travis Decker, who is wanted on 3 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping. Now, after Decker, 32, picked up the girls from their home on Friday, their mother, Whitney Decker, said calls to his phone went straight to voicemail after he was scheduled to return them. Now, she immediately contacted the police department, concerned for their safety. Now, it has come out that he has been struggling with mental health since his return from being overseas. And it's kind of alluded to that there might be more to this story as far as his mental health and possible erratic behavior. What irritates me about this story, and it's not placed on the mom, it's not placed it's placed on the system that requires children to go to unstable parents just because a piece of paper says it. The child's autonomy, the child's safety, the child's well-being doesn't seem to always be taken into account. It's like we put the parents' need to have the children in their lives before the children's need to have a safe, loving, and consistent home. I'm not looking down on the man because he's homeless. No, I'm not looking down on him because he has mental issues. I'm looking down on him because he is a monster who took 3 baby girls with his own damned hands. Do you understand how personal asphyxiation is? You have to be there. It takes longer than it looks like in the movies. It is a decidedly personal attack. You have to look in the eyes or be very close in touching this person, this baby you brought into the world. I just will never get it. I do not get it. I don't want to get it. I really don't. I want him to go directly, and I mean no passes, nothing. I am willing to send him to Snake Island.
We got room for the wicked, the cruel, and the worst. If you lie, if you cheat, if your soul's made of bile, you're bound for the fangs and the venom in style. Oh, one-way ticket to Snake Island. Oh, let the contents, less cowards and gaslighters go. No anchor, no lifeboat, no tearful goodbyes. Trust isn't uncommon in cold-blooded skies. That's your friend.
And honestly, President, I know you got a lot going on. I know not everyone likes you, but could we do an audit? Could we do a Doge on every single child services organization across the country? Because the horror stories I've seen, children in protective custody, passing away, losing their lives, this system is broken, and I am so daggone tired. I'm so daggone tired of these stories where the system does jack crap nothing. I'm just so exhausted of that. And again, if this man happens to not be able to be brought in, bring back the stocks, because I have a feeling that the town would take care of it themselves. Again, this is the reason I'm not a judge. Now, Decker is a military veteran with extensive training, has been homeless, and was divorced from the children's mother for several years. He was known to stay at campgrounds and hotels in the local area with his dog. Now, his cell phone activity revealed that he drove to and left the campground a day before kidnapping his daughters. The alleged killer's truck was found with 2 bloody handprints, blankets, food, car seats, and a wallet were also found in his vehicle. Now, this is speculation station. This is recognizing patterns of these particular kind of crimes and making an educated guess, but I doubt we are going to find him on. I doubt we're going to find him alive. And here's what I base that on. I believe that this is going to be a protracted red rum self-delete. I think that the reality of what he's done is going to eat at him. I would hope. I mean, I don't know. But I have a feeling he's going to take the easy way out and not face any justice on this earth. But hopefully the little Nicky treatment in Hades. The campsite near the truck showed signs it had been recently used when police found it, according to documents. After the grim discovery of the sister's body, SWAT teams and federal agencies, including Homeland Security and the U.S. Forest Service, descended on the area and began to search for Decker. He's described as 5'8", 190 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, and last seen wearing a light-colored shirt and dark shorts. Although it is unknown whether Decker is currently armed, he may pose a significant threat if, approached. Yeah, don't take this into your own hand. As much as I joke about bringing, the pillory back and the stocks and many other creative things that the Spanish Inquisition just let slip out of history, I'm joking, y'all. I don't want the police to have to find another horrible scene. I can't imagine the poor officers who probably have children who had to come across this scene. And I'm spending a lot of time with this, but it really did break my heart. And I hope they find him, or God gets him, or a wild ferret bites his nutsack. I'm so done with this man. I'm trying to think of the worst things, but I probably shouldn't say them on, air. Now, the girl's mother issued a distressing appeal for her daughter's safety just hours before their bodies were found. And my heart breaks for this mother. I can't imagine the hell she is living in, and I hope she is getting support and love and just all the things, because I can't imagine. And she was me for so long. It was, my three amigo girls and me. So this one hits closer to home. I am not going to lie. Now, Decker was granted free time to visit his children, specifically every other weekend in the, local area. However, he had been allegedly quieter than usual when he picked up his girls on Friday, something that was a bit out of character as far as he generally acts, according to court documents. He also discussed the possibility of giving up his dog due to housing and financial struggles. Now, Whitney claimed that Decker was diagnosed with BPD, according to documents. She suspected that her husband has not been taking his medication, even though under the agreement that they had, in order to see his children, in order to get custody, even on a limited basis, he was supposed to seek mental health and anger management counseling. The problem with these agreements is that if he violates, you have to go to family court. Family court has been very, very ridiculous about the fact that some parents just aren't ready to be parents. And instead of trying to keep broken families together that will never mend themselves because it requires a certain amount of responsibility and acceptance that you're a fuck up, and then, the ability to learn and, do better, there are just some people that are never going to get that. And yet these, DCF and everything are so focused on getting these broken families, these families that don't work back together. And if you think I'm joking, a woman in my church fosters, and, they have a foster child from the same parents. It's the fifth baby that they've not been allowed to technically keep, but they're still working on reunification for them and the other 5 kids. It is beyond mind-blowing. I try to look at it with a good Christian heart, but then my pissed off just gets over it. But let's go to a different story, something a bit uplifting and a bit weird. Well, a paraglider nearly froze to death after being sucked up 28,000 feet into the clouds. A seasoned paraglider miraculously survived a rare and dangerous phenomenon that saw him being sucked up into the clouds to an altitude of 28,210 feet or 8,600 meters. Now, videos and photos of a Chinese paraglider, Liu Ji, trying to keep his cool, pun intended, as he experienced dangerously low oxygen and temperatures, low as negative 40 degrees Celsius or negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, went viral on social media this week. In them, the experienced paraglider's clothes and face were covered with ice as he struggles to breathe to keep from passing out because of the low oxygen levels. Now, on May 24th, he took off from about 3,000 meters from the Qilan Mountains on the border between Western Gangshu. Look, I'm going to mess these names up. I apologize in advance to everyone except for the CCP. I don't like communism. That being said, y'all are kind of dicks and leave Taiwan alone. But that's just mine. I'm not trying to get in trouble with anyone, and, it's working out sometimes, but my mouth gets in the way. Now, he was paragliding. As he was doing that, a cumulonimbus cloud appeared behind him, and he ended up being lifted higher and higher into the clouds and above the clouds. Now, cloud suck is a well-documented phenomenon where paragliders and hang gliders have experienced significant lift caused by thermals under cumulus clouds, especially towering cumulus clouds or cumulonimbus. So if we remember back from 7th grade or 5th grade, science class, cumulonimbus are the thunder clouds. So these are incredibly energetic. They are bringing a lot of moisture and heat, generally fueled by heat meeting cold air. So these are, incredibly kind of dynamic sort of clouds that usually end up with storms or something like that. I'm not a meteorologist or a hydrometeorologist, and I don't let my cats outside to see if it's, even snowy enough to trace a cat. So that is my personal remembrance of 7th grade science. Now, it is typically associated with an increased thermal updraft velocity near the cloud base. Pilots who have experienced the phenomenon have reported being unable to descend in strong cloud suck, even after bringing the canopies of their gliders into a deep spiral, which would usually result in a rapid descent. Now, because he didn't plan on going to extreme altitudes, the Chinese regulation they restrict flights below 16,400 feet or 5,000 meters. Sorry, it is early in the morning, y'all. Don't even have the makeups on my face. You'll have to excuse me. Now, Liu Ji did not have an oxygen mask or thick clothing to help him endure the freezing temperatures and cold. So freezing temperatures, low concentration of oxygen. He still remained in contact with his friends on the ground via a intercom and was eventually able to descend. I felt oxygen deficiency and my hands were freezing, but I kept communicating via the intercom, he said on social media. The Chinese paraglider's extreme experience spread like wildfire on social media, but his overnight celebrity could spell trouble as he did not report the flight on the day of the incident, including the takeoff, which is required, and prompted authorities to open an official investigation. Oh my God. Imagine getting sent to the Chinese gulag because you didn't track your hang glider thing and you accidentally got famous for it. And then, life's like a box of chocolates. You get internet famous, then you get a felony. I guess with great, power comes great responsibility or something like that. Well, in other odd news, after nearly 6,000 California prisoners falsely test positive for opioids, officials are launching a sweeping new review. Now, this is incredibly damaging for these prisoners. Imagine some of them were maybe doing good behavior or trying to get out or trying to improve, and because of a false positive, maybe they're back at square one. Hopefully they've adjudicated all these cases from these faulty tests and given, true and accurate tests to them again. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations is reviewing hundreds of state parole hearings to see if any inmates who were denied parole were rejected because of faulty drug tests. Nearly 6,000 drug tests, in California prisons are believed to have yielded false positives between April and July of last year. The attorneys for the parole board are now reviewing a number of inmate files to determine if any of them need to appear before the parole board again to be reconsidered, according to officials with the CDCR. If any inmates were denied parole because of faulty tests, they could be owed a new hearing before the parole board, said attorneys representing inmates affected by the defective drug test. Now, the review is still underway and will determine if, without the positive drug screening, if there is sufficient evidence to support an incarcerated person's denial of parole, a spokesperson for the CDCR, Emily Hempel, said. Now, if there's not enough evidence to support incarceration other than a drug test, a new hearing will be scheduled. Now, CDCR officials declined to provide details of how many parole hearings were being reviewed and if any of those hearings had been rescheduled since this process started. Now, more information will be available after the internal review is complete, the department said. Now, representatives at Uncommon Law, a nonprofit advocacy group for inmates seeking parole, said parole board officials this week told their attorneys that they're reviewing at least 459 hearings, as well as dozens of administrative reviews and denials from inmates to move up their parole hearings. Now, attorneys with the group confirmed the false test results they received showing positive tests had spiked across the state prison system between April and July of last year, raising suspicion that there was something wrong with the testing. The California Board of Parole is now reviewing 75 administrative denials, 56 petitions that were denied in advance to the inmate's parole hearing, according to the organization. Now, all of the files under review involve inmates who are in CDCR's medication-assisted treatment program and were recently denied parole or petitions to move up their parole hearings to an earlier date between April 2024 and this month. Now, inmates in this program, basically designed to treat substance abuse issues with medications, are given drug tests to make sure they're compliant with their medication. I'm not sure what they're taking to kind of wean off. So those can be incredibly powerful medications and they need to be taken correctly. And again, unfortunately, with personal experience, when you're dealing with someone in the deep throes of addiction, even if they want to desperately change, that addiction is always there. And the first couple weeks when you're trying to detox are hell. And I hope anyone, if you're struggling with addiction, to please get help. You have to want it for yourself. No amount of your family wanting it, your kids wanting it, your friends wanting it is going to work until you decide it. And I hope you do, because I think everyone has a unique purpose in this world. It might not be glamorous, it might not be, smexy, but we all have a part to play. And I really want to see all the people that have kind of tuned out or struggle with addiction to come back and play their part. So that being said, I hope that, California really looks at this. My heart breaks for all of the, inmates who are trying to really help themselves, trying to get better. Again, I wish the hell of losing someone to addiction on no one, not one person, not my greatest enemy or my bestest friend, because it sucks. And for people that are working on it to get a false positive, it has to be so discouraging. And I really hope that this is worked out, because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Let's be real. Alrighty, time for Lord Chippy. Now, I will say Lord Chippy may not be necessary for the first one, but I do like to do things in threes, so there you go.
They still are grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Well, being a mom of teenagers is not for the faint of heart, but I've never had to deal with this problem. A teen who was quote unquote too angry to sleep before stabbing mom in the back told her he was, quote, waiting until I'm big enough to unalive you. Yeah, maybe don't confess to having premeditated, attempted red rum. I'm not your lawyer, sir. In fact, I kind of hope you get caught because you seem real scary. Though, when I look at your name, I can see why you might be pissed off. A Wyoming teenager who faces a charge of attempted first-degree murder after stabbing his mother in the back while she slept will plead guilty to a lesser charge. Tarls. Now, I've heard of Terrell, Styx Hexenhammer, but Tarls? You took Charles and added a T. What in the name of God did you think was going to happen? Honest to God, these ridiculous names. If I had to understand why the hell Caitlin is spelled with two Y's, a G, and an H, someone needs to explain to me why the hell someone named someone Tarls. Now, maybe it's a grand name with a lot of history, but at this point, it just looks like it was a typo on the birth certificate to me. Again, I'm not too worried about it. He tried to stab his mama. I'm not going to worry about his, name origin at this moment. But Tarl Smith was a 17-year-old when he stabbed his mother in the shoulder blade. Now, Carla Smith, 42, in June of 2024, according to court documents obtained by the Gillette News Record. Now, the family had been arguing about where the reportedly unruly teen should live if he continued to refuse to abide by the household rules. At one point, his parents told the police that he told his mother he was just waiting until he was big enough to unalive her. Yeah, I'd call the cops too. Now, according to court documents obtained by a local news outlet, Cowboy State Daily, Charles Smith was going to be tried as an adult for the crime, but his defense team paused the case until the teenager received a mental evaluation. Now, at the age of 18, Tarl Smith pled guilty to attempted second-degree murder. Now, according to the Gillette News Record reporting, the family dispute concerning Tarl Smith's behavior had been going on for several years leading up to the attack on his mother. He had reportedly threatened to unalive his parents several times and engaged in cruelty towards animals as a joke. No, cruelty towards animals is a big red flag. It's not easy to admit that maybe your child has a problem you can't help with, but if your child is showing these worrying signs, get him help. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't think it's a joke. Taking an innocent and, vulnerable creature and exerting power and pain over it is a worrying and terrifying sign. If you can do it to an animal, you can do it to a person. And I believe that we have proven this point with this case. So again, kids have struggles and every kid's is going to be different, but try to get them help. Sometimes it's beyond us. We don't, as parents, always have the toolbox to help our tools in the toolbox to help our kids, but we can always reach out and try to find other people who have those tools maybe. And maybe he needed an inpatient program. Maybe he needed something else deeper, but I'm just going to be glad he's off the streets for a good long stretch. Bon voyage, butt monkey. I hope Gen Pop doesn't realize what you did to your mama. Also, who's going to put honey bun money on your, commissary account? Gotta think these ones through, dumbass. Now, the Cowboy State Daily has done extensive reporting on the case, describing the troubled teenager and the seemingly helpless parents who were trying to find a solution for his behavior. Carla Smith told the outlet that she had her son institutionalized when he was 16. Okay, I take back and rescind my rant. Maybe I should read the whole article, but it looks like these parents did try. And unfortunately, things were out of control when he was 16 years old, but that seemed to only exacerbate his anger issues. Now, on the night of June 10th, 2024, Tarl Smith was reportedly stewing in anger over his parents trying to move him out of their home. Now, according to court documents, he told the police he was, quote, too angry, end quote, to sleep that night and felt as if his parents were trying to get rid of him. Now, while his parents slept, he took a knife with an 8-inch blade from the kitchen, snuck into their room, and drove the knife into his mother's back near her shoulder blade. Now, according to a GoFundMe page set up to help Carla Smith pay for her medical costs, she asked her son, "Why did you punch me?" And this is something that I have heard. Look, I'm not a medicalologist. I am not Dr. Russell by any means. But I have heard that a stab can feel like a punch. Again, this is from I think vagary of Hollywood and YouTube, so I might be completely wrong. And he reportedly responded, "No, you actually have a knife in your back. I stabbed you." Now, to raise funds, Carla Smith reportedly raffled off her son's pet pig, putting that money toward her medical bills. Now, the knife drove through 2 of her ribs, went through her scapula, and collapsed her lung. She spent 2 days in intensive care. Now, the problem with a collapsed lung is that the other lung tends to move more towards midline, which can push pressure to your heart because your heart is more to your left side. Sorry. strapless bra. I'm not sure. I remember why I don't like them now, because if you breathe in or in any way slightly, adjust your position, it feels like you're going to lose your this is a, look, as I said, early morning, that y'all are getting Mo unfiltered, which is a terrible idea. But it puts increased pressure on the heart because, again, it's out of place and is kind of being crowded out. If you think of a vacuum and you've got two lungs in a vacuum and then you poke one, the other is going to try to expand to fill that spot because it's now open. So it is incredibly dangerous. It is a long recovery trying to get the air, out of your chest cavity and things like that. So it is absolutely a miracle that she's still alive. Now, just under a year after the attack, Charles Smith will plead guilty to second-degree attempted murder. He is expected to be sentenced later this year. And now we're going to go to this one because what in the name of all that is Walmart rapture is going the hell on here? Quote, "We're definitely going to the psych ward. A man intentionally caused a head-on car crash in an attempt to red rum his wife." Again, divorce is cheaper. I know, men, you don't think so because you think you're going to get hit with alimony, child support, and all this. But if you try to do this jackassery, you're going to end up in prison with no money on your honey bun account unless you, decide to engage in a prison marriage and be a kept woman. North Carolina police accused a man of allegedly crashing his car into another one in an attempt to red rum his wife, which echoed what he was alleged to have said during the scene. Now, Anderson Singleton faces... Also, how are you going to have two last names? What is up? Again, I know people probably will think I'm goofy for having my girls all named four-letter names that end with A and my boys all having G names. It didn't start out as a plan for the boys to have G names. We had the first boy, named him a G name, and then the second boy we thought, well, maybe it would be cute if they had matching names, and then the third one, by then it was a pattern, and it would have been weird if we didn't give him a G name. That's how that happened. Now, Anderson Singleton, 33, faces several felony charges, including assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, after police say he allegedly intentionally caused a head-on car crash on Saturday. According to reporting by local CBS affiliate WNCN, Singleton was driving a black Honda CR-V with his wife in the front passenger seat when he allegedly swerved into an oncoming brown Toyota Camry. And this is a douche move for many, many reasons. First of all, we don't try to eliminate our partners regardless of how we want to leave them, and we don't involve innocent other people in a brown Toyota Camry. Because have you noticed with this general jackassery of motor vehicles, it's never the douche canoe that starts or intends or drives drunk. It's always like the innocent, group of orphans with nuns and puppies, in a van that mysteriously rolled down a ravine because of these jackasses. That being said, God's mill grinds slowly but relentlessly. A lot of times I don't do a lot of Lord Chippy videos in a row because they can put me in a really bad mood with humanity. But always remember, as much as I love Lord Chippy and Justice Awaits, there is a reckoning. There is a kind of, I think, cosmic sort of balance, but it takes so long sometimes and you don't always see it. But that's what gets me through the day. Also, for every douchebag jackass like this considerable, resting butthole face right here, there are people that will run toward that accident and try to help. So for one douche, there's always a bunch of people that are ready to come up and help. That's what gets me through. I don't know if you need that, but that's what helps me. Now, the crash was caught on camera by a passerby whose vehicle had a dash cam. WNCN interviewed Jorge Bravo, the driver of the SUV who stopped to help the victims of the crash after it occurred. And thank you, Jorge, for stopping. Some people wouldn't, but I'm glad you did. And this is what gives me hope because, yeah, for every one dill hole, we have people that will stop and help. So maybe it's a 1 to 20 ratio, and maybe it seems like some days you meet all the dill holes. But I like to believe, I like to hope, I like to, be shown examples of there are so many more people ready to run towards an accident than be a damn asshole. Now, Bravo told the news station that Singleton reportedly had a lot to say in the aftermath of the collision, which injured Singleton, his wife, and the two men inside the Toyota Camry. Referring to Singleton, Bravo said, he was like, "Oh, that's not an accident. I was trying to kill myself and my wife. We were fighting with each other. We were trying to unalive each other. We're definitely going to go to the psych ward." Now, police stated they didn't believe that Singleton was impaired at the time of the crash. Bravo told WNCN that a paramedic also happened to drive by the crash and stayed to provide assistance to the 4 injured victims. He said he witnessed Singleton's wife kind of just fall out of the passenger side and lay there. Now, all 4 people involved in the crash were taken to the hospital for serious but not life-threatening injuries. Singleton was released from the hospital and is currently staying at the Wake County Jail where he's being held without bond. Singleton was charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, causing serious injuries, assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, careless, reckless driving, and driving left of center by patrol. And our final. Well, if those aren't a pair of Manson lamps, I know his face is smiling, but his eyes are dead and cold. Quote, wanted to teach her a lesson. A woman wakes up to her husband strangling her at 4 a.m. because he thought she was cheating. Well, sir, looking at those dead eyes and imagining them anywhere near me, I'd say I'd be looking for options too. A Florida man thought his wife was cheating on him, so he allegedly gave her a neck hug while she was sleeping, with the woman waking up to his hands around her throat after he discovered text messages on her phone from another man. William Milan, 40, of Boca Raton, was charged with felony battery by strangulation for the May 27th attack. It is allegedly the second time in 2 days that he laid his hands on the victim in this way. Ma'am, I'm not a genius or anything, twice college dropout here, but I have walked through this before, not to this extent. It's scary, but please leave. Look, if he is escalating, if this is happening every other day, if he's going through your phone, regardless of if she was cheating or not, it does not equal laying your hands on someone. I know it's incredibly scary, but please consider taking that step to leave. You are not the person he says you are. You are not the shadow of yourself. Please get out. So basically, he advised that he had found out that his wife was cheating and he wanted to teach her a lesson. That was in the affidavit citing his interview with Boca Raton police. William also locked her out of her house and refused her to give her her keys so their car would work and she could go to work. Now, police were called to the resident after Milan allegedly attacked his wife around 4 a.m. She told officers that the same thing had happened on the 25th, but she was too scared to report it. Quote, the victim stated that William has done this in the past and she was never reporting it because she was always in fear of what would happen if she had called the police. Officers were able to observe red marks around her neck and the side of her face where she was allegedly, laid hands on by her husband. Now, he was hesitant to come outside to talk to officers after they arrived because these jackasses, male or female, I don't put a gender on it. You can be an abusive asshole on either side, are big cry bullies. Oh, they're big and bad when, it's just them and, their emotional or physical punching bag. But you get real authority in there. Man, I never did nothing. She's crazy. Or he's crazy. I never did nothing. It was self-defense. She was crazy. She was trying to hurt me. I get it. Look, I get it. So Sir, I hope everybody in the flippin' flapjack prison knows you lay hands on ladies, because Gen Pop justice for the win, for America, for the United States. We're too close to 4th of July. Come on. And let's see. I have a couple more stories. I'm trying to find them. After all of that, I did want to do a good story because, or at least a faith in humanity. I understand that this is going to be bittersweet and, maybe not the ending that normally I give, but I want to give this man respect. I want to give him, I am a little channel, but this story needs to be told. This is an act of ultimate masculinity and love. A hero grandfather passes away after saving twin granddaughters from a falling tree limb. He sacrificed his life. A Georgia grandfather is being hailed as a hero after sacrificing himself to save his twin daughters. Manuel Pinzon, 77, passed away on Wednesday, May 28th, after pushing two 8-year-old children, Isabella and Gabriella, out of the way of a tree limb that almost fell on top of them, according to WANF-TV, WSB-TV, and ABC News. Jason Krause, the twins' father, said the accident happened around 2 p.m. local time when his daughters were spending time at his grandfather's home in Dakula. He told the outlet that the kids had been exploring the forest behind Pinzon's home when they found a baby deer. As they returned to their grandfather with news of the sighting, Pinzon told them to eat lunch first before going out to check to see if the deer needed any food or water. Now, the twins, Pinzon and his sister, then went outside to check on the deer when a freak accident happened, according to WANF-TV. There was a very loud cracking sound, a crashing, Krause told WSB-TV. Cracking is kind of how they described it, and then they got shoved out of the way. Quote, then when the twins turned back, Pinzon had gotten them out of the way and taken the full hit of the falling limb on his head, and didn't make it. The 20-foot branch had fallen off of a tree from at least 60 feet in the air, and Pinzon took the full brunt of that branch on his head. He said that one of the twins called 911 while the other ran back to the house to get help. One of his granddaughters was also following direction from the first responder to put a rag behind their grandfather's head to keep it stable. Yeah, you're going to want to keep the head, when you're unsure if there's a neck or spinal issue, they will have you keep the head very still. Now, emergency responders eventually arrived on the scene to transport Pinzon to the hospital. Unfortunately, he passed about 4 hours after the incident. He sacrificed his life to save my two twins from a tree, Krause told WANF-TV. In a separate interview, he added of Pinzon, he chose to protect his sister and these two girls instead of himself. I don't think he should be forgotten. He was a hero. Absolutely. Mr. Pinzon, your sacrifice is amazing, and I absolutely hero applies. Gabriella told the TV that her grandpa died as a hero. Krause told ABC News that his daughters would begin trauma counseling the following week to help them deal with the sudden loss of their grandfather and having gone through something that was so traumatic. Good on him for getting them a safe place to talk about this very scary, tragic thing. He explained that Pinzon was one of the biggest influences in their lives and picked them up from school at least twice a week. The man's family told, local stations that he was someone who loved the outdoors, loved his family. He had fled Colombia 30 years ago to seek out a better life for his wife and daughters in America. He was the greatest person. I've known him for 18 years now. I wish I could be half the person he was. He was amazing, his son-in-law Krause told ABC News, adding that he would have turned 78 on June 18th. Pinzon leaves behind 2 daughters, 5 grandchildren, and a wife of 50 years. Breaks my heart, but what a hero. What an absolute Chad. You want to talk about just showing real masculinity, real energy of a protector, of a father, of protecting innocence. This is what we need to foster in young men. This is what young men are craving, this chance to be a protector, to have a purpose, to fulfill that. Not so much the passing away, but we need to foster in boys because they can either be a sword or a shield. And this man was a shield and passed away, a daggone shield. So, so much respect, Mr. Manuel Pinzon. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And just what an awesome sacrifice. What a real example of just masculinity and protection and all of the things that we really should be fostering in our young men and our young women. But mostly our young men, because I kind of picked that topic. Well, that's what I have for today. I am putting this up. It will be at regular time, just recording. Thank you guys for understanding and all of your support. This has been such an amazing journey. I never thought I would go anywhere by myself to meet people and hang out in real life. So thank you all so much. I will be trying to put videos out from Dollywood and things like that. So I'm going to attempt it. Let's see how it works. It will be an adventure, if nothing else. And I am excited to see all of you who are coming. And if you're not, I will be trying to do some streaming and stuff like that. I'll have a quiet room for 3 days. I don't know what I'll do with myself, to be very real with you. But that is what you have. I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, as always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because honestly, there are some dill holes and jerks still in the world, but the world is mostly a lot nicer than sometimes we realize it is, and sometimes a lot worser than we wish it was. But it all balances out if you have an open mind, an open heart, a sassy mouth, and a bit of a sarcastic soul. Bye, you guys.